Joining me now for more on this, I have Congressman Scott Perry, chairman of the House Subcommittee, which held one of Tuesday's FEMA hearings. Congressman, welcome to the show. Thanks for your time.
Well, it's great to be with you. And of course, the real question is becoming who's lying. The FEMA director says this is a one-off. This is one employee doing her own thing. But that very employee says that she's not the only one, and she was given direction by superiors. And of course, I asked the director, where was this employee on the organizational chart? And she said she was at the bottom. So it's hard for us to believe that a person that's on the bottom issued this guidance to the other members of the team in Florida. And of course, since that time, we've heard evidence, or at least whistleblower accounts, that this is not a one-off, that this has occurred in multiple locations, including in North Carolina.
Yeah. Let me play, just to get viewers up to speed here, let me play you a bit of sound from FEMA Chief Deanne Criswell denying to your panel that anti-Trump bias is pervasive in her agency. Take a listen.
There is nothing in our policies, in our procedures, in our training that would direct any employee to bypass anybody's home based on their political party. I cannot speak to what her motivations were.
And here's what that ex-staffer, Marnie Washington, told News Nation just one day before.
I'm being framed. There's no violation of the Hatch Act. I was simply following orders. I did not vote for Kamala Harris, so there's no political plight on my part.
Yeah, so Congressman, something smells fishy to you. Who is it and what is it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And when the administrator of FEMA says that she's interested in an investigation, understand that FEMA is conducting the investigation internally. Now, FEMA, of course, has a vested interest in not having information come out that shows there's a culture of this political bias. And she said she's working with the Inspector General, but she has not requested that the Inspector General conduct the investigation. And only when I pressed her did she agree that she would. So up until this point, it's just been an internal investigation, essentially by the ones accused of the crime. And for Ms. Washington's part, look, I think she's very credible. I think she's believable. But following orders that are immoral is not the right thing either. And when she was given that order by superiors, if she was indeed done, that was done so, she should have rejected that and said, look, we can't do that. We're going to provide the relief to everybody, regardless of their political affiliation. But this administration has a longstanding, widespread, deep use of political retribution against their rivals. And I think that FEMA, unfortunately, is just the latest example.
Let me give a different kind of example, sir. One of your colleagues, Democratic Congressman Rick Larson, accusing President Trump of doing the same thing when California had wildfires. This is what he said.
In 2019, the president-elect tweeted billions of dollars are being sent to the state of California for forest fires that with proper forest management would never happen unless they get their act together, which is unlikely. I've ordered FEMA to send no more money.
Congressman, is that a fair comparison for him to have made in the hearing yesterday?
No, it's not a fair comparison, because the wildfires in the West generally occur because they don't manage their forest, because the Enviro movement refuses to let the power companies manage their forest. They become overgrown and they become just fuel for any kind of spark that happens. And when it does happen, of course, they're almost unmanageable. So that's a relevant claim. What's really disinformation and misinformation is the constant claim that the storms related to climate change are more devastating or more frequent or more damaging and are more there are more lives lost. None of the empirical data indicates any of that, yet they make the claim every single time we have a hearing regarding FEMA and disaster relief.
Last question for you, sir. What comes next?
Well, what comes next is either an investigation by the Inspector General or Congress continuing to dig where FEMA doesn't want us to dig. We're going to get to the bottom of this one way or the other, but I think it's pretty clear at this point that the FEMA director, the agency, and the administration on issues like this is just going to try and run out the clock and hope that we move on to other things. We're going to move on to other things as appropriate, but we're not going to let them escape accountability for the things that they've done. It's the reason that Donald Trump won in a landslide. The American people are sick of having their government weaponized against them because of the things they believe in.
I got to end it there, but Congressman Scott Perry, thank you for your time. I know you have quite the busy schedule, so I appreciate a few moments.
Thank you. God bless you.
You too.